Inositol is a popular supplement in the PCOS community. You may have come across various women sharing their success stories from using inositol. So in today's video, I'm going to get into how and why inositol is beneficial for women with PCOS and which inositol is best to take, MYO or D-CHIRO inositol. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Pavlou. I'm the founder of PCOS Oracle, where I talk about all things PCOS and how to reverse it naturally. So if that's what you're looking for, then consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell to be notified when I upload a new video. So what is inositol? Inositol is a type of sugar naturally found in food like whole grains and citrus fruits. Inositol was considered part of the bee family until researchers discovered that inositol is produced in sufficient amounts by the human body from D-glucose. Research shows that in humans, this endogenous biosynthesis of inositol is rather important in the kidneys, since each produces about 2 grams a day, so that the endogenous daily production is about 4 grams in the benephric human, which is significantly above the daily dietary intake, which is about 1 gram a day. Inositol has attracted a lot of interest, and this is because of the various physiological processes that is involved in, including calcium metabolism, proliferation, endocrine and metabolic modulation, stress response, and signal transduction downstream neurotransmitter stimulation. Now, there are 9 forms of inositol, but the most commonly discussed and studied are MYO and D-CHIRO inositol. MYO inositol is the most abundant form in the human body. Its job is to help the cells absorb glucose in the blood. High levels are found in the brain and heart cells because they need lots of glucose to function. Inositol is also able to turn into secondary products through various processes, including epimerization. D-CHIRO inositol, on the other hand, is involved in the creation of stored energy in the body's tissues. These are the cells that are responsible for glycogen storage, like the liver, muscle, and fat cells. So MYO inositol can also turn into D-CHIRO inositol. So an enzyme found in the body called NAD/NADH epimerase converts MYO into D-CHIRO inositol, depending on the specific needs of the tissue. The NAD/NADH enzyme is insulin dependent, meaning it is stimulated by insulin to work. Insulin is a hormone secreted by the pancreas and is responsible for keeping blood sugar levels under control. So in order for MYO inositol to convert into D-CHIRO inositol, the hormone insulin needs to be working and highly sensitive. MYO inositol is converted into D-CHIRO inositol in 15 minutes after insulin stimulation. MYO inositol epimerization is severely impaired when muscle, fat, and liver become insulin resistant. Intriguingly, a reduced D-CHIRO inositol to MYO inositol ratio has been proposed to reflect the degree of insulin resistance. Research shows that the highest conversion rate of MYO inositol into D-CHIRO inositol is close to 9% and was detected in the liver and muscle, 2 important insulin-sensitive areas, whereas in heart and brain is less than 2%. Remarkably, in biological fluids, the MYO inositol to D-CHIRO inositol ratio ranges from 40:1 in plasma to 100:1 in follicular fluid. Differences in the ratio values highlight that tissues display significant differential needs of both isomers. A shortage of MYO inositol impacts negatively on D-CHIRO inositol levels, worsening insulin resistance. Now, researchers suggest that it's not clear if insulin resistance develops because of a defect in the production of MYO inositol, or if there's an impairment in the epimerization enzyme and that conversion of MYO to D-CHIRO inositol. A research paper indicated that while insulin-resistant tissues suffer from a general depletion of D-CHIRO inositol due to reduced epimerization of MYO inositol, other tissues that retain an adequate insulin sensitivity, like the ovary, displayed increased levels of D-CHIRO inositol but reduced levels of MYO inositol due to its enhanced epimerization. The increased availability of D-CHIRO inositol in these tissues leads to several biological dysfunctions that are partially unexplained. So before we get into the benefits and why inositol can be very beneficial for women with PCOS, let's touch on what can be causing a deficiency in inositol. So research shows that inositol deficiency and the impairment of inositol dependent pathways may play an important role in the pathogenesis of insulin resistance and hypothyroidism. As I previously mentioned, inositols derive from both diet and endogenous production. Among causes of inositol deficiency, reduced dietary intake, increased catabolism and or excretion, decreased biosynthesis, inhibition of gut and cellular uptake, and altered microbiota could be considered as reasons for an inositol deficiency. So now that we've discussed what inositol is and the potential causes of inositol deficiency, let's delve into some of these benefits of inositol for PCOS. So let's start off with the most common one that is very commonly discussed in the PCOS community, and that is inositol can help with insulin resistance. Low or a deficiency in inositol has been linked with worsening or the development of insulin resistance. And the reason why both inositols have been shown to exert an insulin mimetic activity. So as I mentioned, upon insulin stimulation, inositol exert an insulin mimetic activity. So what this means is that inositol can exhibit similar actions of insulin. So in an individual state of insulin resistance and low insulin sensitivity, in which the pancreas has to release a lot of insulin to help clear out the glucose in the bloodstream, you're in a state of hyperinsulinemia. There's high levels of not only glucose but also insulin levels in the blood. So because of inositol's ability to exhibit actions that insulin does, it can help improve the body's sensitivity to insulin and therefore in turn reducing insulin resistance. The second most popular benefit of inositol for PCOS is that it can help improve fertility. So PCOS is one of the leading causes of infertility in women. As I previously discussed, in biological fluids, the MYO to D-CHIRO inositol ranges. Researchers have found that the follicular fluid, that's the liquid that surrounds the developing egg, in women with PCOS contains a MYO to D-CHIRO inositol ratio of 0.2 to 1, while non-PCOS women have a ratio of 100 to 1, as I touched on. Now, unlike other tissues in the body, the ovaries never become insulin resistant. So experts suggest that PCOS women who suffer from high insulin levels convert too much MYO to D-CHIRO inositol in the theca cells. This leads to an overproduction of D-CHIRO inositol and a deficiency in MYO inositol. A third benefit I want to touch on is that inositol has been described as a free radical scavenger. A term that is probably more well known is antioxidant. So inositol and its phosphates, specifically INSP6, have antioxidant properties. And research shows that this is brought about by chelating iron through the Fenton reaction. Researchers have found that oxidative stress is now recognized to play a central role in the pathophysiology of many different disorders, including PCOS. So oxidative stress is a general term usually used to describe an imbalance between the production of free radicals and the ability of the body to defend their harmful effects by antioxidants that cause DNA damage and or cell apoptosis. Disturbances in the normal oxidation reaction of cells and the production of free radicals and peroxides can cause toxic effects that damage the cell. The effects of oxidative stress depend on the percentage of these changes from DNA damage and trigger apoptosis and necrosis to cell death. Now, as I touched on in that study showed that inositol can help chelate iron. Another study found that inositol blocks the absorption of iron. Now you might be wondering, why should I be blocking iron up? Don't we all need iron? Isn't it an important, mineral in the body? Well, if you want to find out more about iron, I suggest reading Dr. A. Pete's Dangers of Iron. I'll have a link in the description box down below. But also Molly Robbins' Cure Your Fatigue book. So in Molly Robbins' book, which I highly recommend that you purchase and read, he speaks a lot about oxidative stress and the importance of having adequate amounts of copper to help balance out iron. He explains oxidative stress in the body is what saps energy and causes disease. Also causes our tissues and organs to rust, rusting being oxidation. So Morley explains that without enough bioavailable copper in our body, oxygen by its reactive nature will inexorably begin to damage our tissue and our mitochondria, ultimately depleting our energy production and eventually destroying our health. Copper, when naturally working through its network of enzymes, is the only element in the body that works with oxygen cleanly to prevent oxygen from rusting out our cells, tissues and organs. In addition, copper is the only element that regulates iron status, thus preventing its reactions with oxygen that inevitably leads to this rusting process. So Molly explains that it's important for our bodies to not only be able to create energy, but also to be able to clear exhaust, meaning the reactive oxygen species, RS waste products, including free radicals, that are also produced during the process of cellular respiration. So, in addition to taking inositol and focusing on trying to replenish any lost or failure in consuming enough dietary inositol, it's important to also be getting enough bioavailable copper, because copper is what helps protect against oxidative stress. Now, another benefit I want to touch on is that myo has been shown to play a role in thyroid physiology. Women with PCOS suffer from low thyroid, high estrogen, low progesterone, and overactive adrenals. The thyroid acts on all cells in the body, and it is responsible for various functions in the body, including the metabolism, ovulation, heart rate. So it's a very important organ. So research shows that depletion of myo or impaired inositol-dependent thyroid-stimulating hormone (TSH) signaling pathway may predispose to the development of some thyroid diseases, such as hypothyroidism. Many clinical studies have shown that after treatment with myo plus selenium, TSH levels significantly decreased in patients with subclinical hypothyroidism with or without autoimmune thyroiditis. The TSH reduction was accompanied by a decline of anti-thyroid autoantibodies. Moreover, myo supplementation seemed to be involved also in the management of thyroid benign nodules, with a possible effect in the size reduction. Clinical evidence indicated that patients with impaired thyroid functionality exhibit a high demand of myo in healthy subjects, pointing out myo crucial role in preserving thyroid physiology, in increasing iodine availability, and in counteracting its dysfunctions. A further benefit of inositol is research shows that inositol content has a role in shaping gut microbiota and the host metabolism. Research shows that the absorption of inositol occurs in the gut, so it's important that our gut is healthy. But unfortunately, research has shown that women with PCOS tend to have dysbiosis and an imbalance of gut bacteria. Now, an unhealthy gut can be caused by various issues. But touching back on with the thyroid and the gut are interconnected. So thyroid hormones play on the gut and the gut plays on the thyroid. So it's like a vice versa kind of situation. So when we have a low thyroid, this can lead to a slower transit time, a build up of endotoxins, and the development of SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So Dr. AP explains that endotoxin is ubiquitous and chronic stressor. It increases lactate and nitric oxide, poisoning mitochondrial respiration, precipitating the secretion of adaptive stress hormones, which don't always fully repair the cellular damage. He also explains that endotoxin formed in the bowel can block respiration and cause hormone imbalances, contributing to instability of the nerves. So it is helpful to optimize bowel flora. So inositol may be able to help with the balance of the gut microbiota to help address some of these issues, but again, it all comes down to addressing thyroid function and lowering estrogen, which estrogen is closely associated with endotoxinemia. So by addressing the thyroid, lowering estrogen, cleaning out the gut through the use of the raw carrot salad, Dr. AP's raw carrot salad, and this can help with the removal of estrogen and toxins. When cells are excited, stressed, or de-energized, they lose magnesium and potassium and take up sodium and calcium. The mitochondria can bind a certain amount of calcium during stress, but accumulating calcium can reach a point at which it inactivates the mitochondria, forcing cells to increase inefficient glycolytic energy production, producing an excess of lactic acid. Abnormal calcification begins in the mitochondria. When cells are stressed or dying, they take up calcium, which tends to excite the cells at the same time that inhibits their energy production, intensifying their stress. Another benefit of inositol is that it is a lipotropic agent, meaning it helps stimulate the breakdown of fat in the liver and other parts of the body. While taking a supplement, we obviously have to address the whole body. So if it's poor gut health, we obviously have to support that, because absorption of any kind of nutrients is going to be impacted. So yes, supplementing is not like gonna fix everything. It's really gonna come down to addressing, mineral balance, your thyroid, estrogen, nutrient-dense foods, and keeping stress hormones low. But obviously, supplements are obviously a great way for that additional kind of support. Now let's move on to which inositol is best, minoxidil or D-CHIRO inositol. So here's the thing, using either minoxidil or D-CHIRO inositol has incredible benefits. However, there's been countless studies revealing that a combination of both is actually far superior than taking either alone. So studies show that the 40-to-1 combination is well supported by many preclinical and clinical studies, while preclinical trials for other ratios and combinations are either lacking or completely absent. A study found that the 40-to-1 minoxidil to D-CHIRO inositol ratio is the best for PCOS therapy aimed at restoring ovulation and normalizing important parameters in these patients. The other formulas were less effective. In particular, a decreased activity was observed when the 40-to-1 ratio was modified in favor of D-CHIRO inositol. Clinical evidence has demonstrated that the 40-to-1 ratio between minoxidil and D-CHIRO inositol is the optimal combination to restore ovulation in PCOS women. Studies have found minoxidil to be more effective at restoring ovulation and improving egg quality. Research shows high doses of D-CHIRO inositol are considered toxic to ovaries and egg growth. So a D-CHIRO inositol supplement may not be effective or safe if trying to conceive. So a combination of the two is seen as more effective in addressing all of the deficiencies in inositols in the tissues and in balancing and ultimately reversing PCOS. Now you might be wondering, where can you buy this 40-to-1 ratio? Well, the inositol supplement I use to get that specific ratio is Thyroid's Ovasitol, which is 100% pure inositol powder containing minoxidil and D-CHIRO inositol in the body's natural ratio of 40-to-1. Each serving of Ovasitol contains 200 micrograms of minoxidil and 50 micrograms of D-CHIRO inositol. Thyroid's Ovasitol can be purchased in sachet or canister scoop form. Both options provide a 3-month supply of inositol. Simply mix 1 sachet or 1 level scoop in water or any other beverage twice daily after food. I personally really like the portability of the sachets because you can take it with you while you're on the go, so you don't forget taking your inositol. Ovasitol is tested and certified by NSF International. This is a not-for-profit organization that reviews products for content accuracy and purity. This voluntary third-party testing assures me of Ovasitol's high quality. I've personally been using and recommending Ovasitol for years now, so if you're interested in purchasing your own Ovasitol, whether in sachet or canister and scoop form, you can use the code 144N11 at checkout for $10 off your order. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit more about what inositol is, what it does in the body. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, comment if you have any questions, and subscribe for plenty more videos. I shall catch you in the next one.